All right. What's up, guys? Jono and Holly again with another Selling North Dallas real estate market update. We promised we'd come out every week. We got some new stuff we want to point out. We're going to dive into how to use the tool, how you can get your hands on it, and then how to manipulate some of the data, and then provide what's happening with the market. Holly, we ready to go?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
All right. I don't know if anybody saw last week, but I was like literally breakdancing on the beach.
You ever see breakdance before?
I'm sure they all noticed. If they didn't notice, they should go watch last week's market update because it's exclusive video footage.
Multifaceted, multi-talented. How does that not hurt your neck to do that?
Yeah, you know what? I saw the chiropractor when I get back. It's fine. It's fine. I'm doing great now.
Who are you? I'm a chiropractor.
Well, Holly, as we mentioned, we want to give these guys a kind of a nickel tour of the Selling North Dallas Real Estate Market Update tool. If you don't have that yet, drop down in the description of this video. There's a link where you can receive it via email, and Holly is going to show us how we can do searches not only in Texas, but let's say you're in California or New Jersey and you want to pull up your local market. The tool has the data for that too. And as we've said on this channel, we're all about data, not drama.
Numbers.
Holly, what are we looking at this week?
Well, I kind of wanted to bring this up because we focus a lot on explaining to buyers what the market's doing because the market has shifted so quickly since mid-May.
Why do I have to explain everything?
And now here we are the first week of September. And I wanted to talk a little bit to sellers today about how they can use this data, because if you're a homeowner, you are a seller. Whether you're selling today or you're selling 90 days from now or 2 years from now, if you're a homeowner, you're always a seller.
Yeah. Sell.
May not be today, but it's at some point in the future. And the cool thing about this tool is if I am a homeowner and I'm considering a move, or maybe I'm going to upsize or downsize, right? Kids just went away to college. All of those things are happening right now for a lot of people. We need to know what the market's doing. And if I'm thinking, I might want to sell, but maybe I'll wait till January or February. I don't have a crystal ball.
A crystal ball or something.
I wish I did. I'd be a bazillionaire if I had a crystal ball. So what I really wanted to kind of point out for sellers specifically is if I am thinking about selling my house, it's just an inkling in my head, right? Maybe I have a good reason. Maybe I'm thinking 90 days or 6 months from now. I don't know what the market's going to do 6 months from now, but what I do know based on data is since mid-May, we have been on a steady decline of what we would call a seller's market. Every week, we're a little bit less strong on this seller market number. So if I'm a seller and I'm thinking today, I might want to sell my house, maybe I'll wait a few months, maybe I'll get past the holidays. If I'm looking at these trends, I can tell you that that might not be your best bet. If you're a seller considering selling, this might be a better time than tomorrow. And the funny thing is, we were saying this to buyers over the last 2 years, right? The prices were going up so quickly and everything was so competitive. We were telling buyers today is a better day than tomorrow to buy a home. Now that script has flipped and we are telling sellers today is a better time to sell your house than tomorrow, because we know what's happening today and we're watching these trends of that seller's market softening significantly over the last few months.
Sounds good to me.
So if I'm hearing you right, if somebody's thinking about selling in the next 30, 60, 90 days, they could be leaving some money on the table.
They're leaving money on the table.
The longer they delay that.
Yeah,
Now
absolutely. Our traditional real estate market, at least in North Texas, and I know pretty steadily across the country, is that August and September are a couple of our slower months.
Can you go any faster?
It's school starting back, people are settled before the school year, and we see a little bit less movement during those months, but we do know that traditionally October and November are a little busier. Then we kind of take that winter break, December, January, and we kind of start picking back up towards the end of February into March and April. So this is traditionally our slower time in real estate, and we're a little bit back to our more normal real estate cycles now that we're out of all the COVID craziness.
This is craziness.
So today, right now, getting into the month of September is the best time to start considering this, because most of us don't say, hey, I want to list my house, and we have it on the market within 5 days or 2 days, right? It takes us a little time. Maybe
This is going to take some time.
we need to declutter. Maybe we need to have something painted. Maybe we need to, stage the house or do something different. So starting that conversation today is going to put that seller in a much much better position, really no matter where they live in the country. This is the best time to have the conversation and truly plan based on what the market activity does traditionally and then what this data is telling us right now. The cool part about this tool is we always show Collin County because this is where we live, where we work. But if I live anywhere else, let's say it's Orlando. Ooh, can I type here? What's happening? There we go. Let's see if we can just search Orlando, for example. Right? I can go in here, I can grab specific zip codes. If I want to know exactly what's happening in a very specific area, my neighborhood almost, right? I can really dial in. You can see some of these aren't going to have enough data, right? Maybe looks like it's more of a business district. We're not seeing a lot of residential, but we can click to view the report. And it's going to show us this exact same data, no matter what city or zip code or county that you search. Wow. So that's really cool information because we have people from all over the world, really, that moved to North Texas or they're watching the North Texas market because of what's happened over the last 2 years.
Always watching.
So this is really interesting information for people who are looking at North Texas, but maybe they actually need to see what their home market looks like in another part of the country.
It's so helpful being able to just dive in specifically. So what are some of the other data points that we usually look at weekly? Rents. Looks like median rent has dropped a little bit.
Yeah, and we're looking at Orlando, right? So
sorry, you switched it over to Orlando. That's right.
I did. We're looking at Orlando. So, it's going to be the same market data for every single area that we're searching. So it doesn't matter where you live, you're comparing apples to apples. If I am comparing my house I need to sell in Orlando to the house or the area I want to buy in North Texas, right? This gives us the perfect tool to do that because I can literally compare the exact same data points, median prices, days on market, all of those things to say, hey, if I have to sell in this market and buy in this market, what does that really look like in comparison?
Can you show me?
So interestingly enough, we see Orlando, Florida is at a 53 sellers market, which is exactly where we are in Collin County right now. So, we're going to see some of these things are similar. We're going to see things like their inventory is going up. The market action's going down for sellers. Average days on market is going up. So every person who accesses this information can move along these little timelines exactly like I can do and see all this micro data. As you scroll down, we don't show these graphs very often because they get, really in depth, but the same thing, right? I'm looking here for Orlando on this one today, but I can click on any of these different pieces of data and really start to say, okay, what was happening January, February of 2021, for example, versus where we are today. So this is average days on market, right? This gives us a little perspective. If we go back to January, February 2021, our days on market in Orlando, Florida were 101.
Wow.
So even though right now we would say, hey, their days on market are up, well, they're up at a 7-day average of 49, which is definitely down from February 2021. So yes, we're up in the short term, but this gives us a much broader scope of information because it goes back to 2019 instead of about 90 days, where these smaller graphs go back about 90 days or so.
So we're still in a strong seller's market. It looks like it's slowing down though. Would that give you any indication that, and again, we're trying to just look week over week, are we near the bottom? Is it about to turn? And as you gaze into your crystal ball?
Who knows? I know. Gosh, as I said, if I had a crystal ball, I'd be a bazillionaire. What I do know is that we have steadily been settling down since mid-May, right? We were at 100. That is crazy seller's market. Mm-hmm. That is honestly historical. We've really never seen anything like it. And so we start comparing and we're like, okay, now we're down to 53. Well, that 53 has us an average of 44 days on the market in Collin County. That is still a very low number of days on market.
Oh, now that's low.
It's just that we were at 24 hours and 3 days on the market, and now we're, quote, up to 44 days on market, which is why we're still in a strong seller's market. It just feels tougher for those sellers who were watching the market in March, April, May, and seeing homes go under contract 24, 48, 72 hours. Now we're putting a house on the market and we're working for it, right? We have to market it. We have to do all the things to get it in front of all the people and get those buyers in the door. So it is a much different market for sellers, even though we would still call it a strong seller's market. It's definitely settled since the earlier months.
So we did, in fact, we're going to put a link right here to a property that we toured in St. Paul. For all intents and purposes, it's basically Wiley, Texas.
Close enough.
Beautiful home, practically brand new, just over a year. So you can get the details on that one. But the reason I point that out today is I went back and ran a comp in that neighborhood, a property very similarly laid out, bedrooms, bathrooms, square foot, no pool, similar finish out in terms of the quality of the finish out, sold for $1,027,000 in March.
Are you serious?
This property that we toured that I just referenced, I want to say it was over 62 days, and they had it listed at $900,000. So if you have to sell now, it would be, as Holly said, to your advantage to let's have that conversation now, just so that we can show you behind the curtain of what's happening. Because otherwise, if you waited even 30 days, what the data is saying is that it's slowing down, and with each passing week, you're making less and less in what you net in your pocket.
Let's hurry, Batman!
Yeah, and I know I've said this multiple times. I want to reiterate it here today. That comparison is an exact example of what we're seeing so many sellers, right? They're a little bit heartsick that they lost $100,000. They didn't lose $100,000 because more than likely they've owned that house more than 2 years. They have probably gained a very significant amount of equity. It could be $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 they gained if they've owned the house more than 3 or 4 years. That's significant, right? We can't overlook the significance of a $300,000 equity increase in 3 to 4 years. Right. That's unheard of. Now, did we lose $100,000 because we didn't sell? We didn't get to take advantage of it because we weren't ready to sell. We weren't in the place.
It was never realized.
It was never realized. And the deal is that was never, and I cannot reiterate this enough, it was never what we would have called our market value. It was what the buyer was willing to pay in that specific market in that point in time. Those values got so out of control because we had such low inventory.
This is bonkers.
We had so many people competing for a few homes. There might be 1 or 2 homes that really fit your needs if you were buying during that time. And it was forcing buyers to bring cash to the table. That cash they brought to the table was not in the mortgage, and it was not meeting actual lender guidelines for approval. So that's what people are missing, a little bit of context when they go, gosh, it was worth $1 million. It was worth $1 million in a specific point in time, potentially to one specific buyer, right? Does that make sense? It wasn't that we were putting it on the market, we were getting the approvals from lenders and the appraisal values, and that was the true market value. It was a market value at one point in time for one specific buyer that was willing to pay it.
Yeah.
And as much as you can feel heartsick about it, because we told my story, right? I, quote, lost $430,000, I believe, over 19 months.
Yeah, that'll do it.
If I had my crystal ball, I would be $430,000 richer. However, it really was never the build value of that property. I know the builder, I know the quality of the build, I know what I paid for the house 10, 12 years ago. So that value was a value to one buyer that was willing to come in and pay that for the square footage and the pool and those things. Right. So it's a little bit, scary, and sellers do feel a little heartsick. They were really ready for that 3 days on the market, get 20 offers, that was a historic event that we experienced. That was not a norm. This market we're in feels very normal. This feels like the market I'm used to selling real estate in.
Safe space.
The last 2 years were an anomaly.
Well, and just in that one neighborhood, there are 19 homes active on the MLS. In that neighborhood, with those number of bedrooms and that square footage range, 19 homes. So that's essentially the competition that those sellers are up against, right? It's a different world.
And there might be 250 homes in that zip code. Whereas we go back to March, if we look at that data specific to the $1 million home that you kind of highlighted, if we go back to that March timeframe, they might have been the only home in the neighborhood that matched any of that criteria. And they might have been one of 5 to 10 homes in the entire zip code, if that many. Yeah. So that's the difference of what we're experiencing. It is simple supply and demand. We now have more supply. Our price points are still amazing in North Texas. They're much lower than other parts of the country, but we've gained so much equity and value over the last 2 years.
Too much equity.
We knew that had to settle. We knew that the person coming in paying $100,000 over was risking $100,000.
Right.
It probably made up some of that gap depending on when they purchased and how long they hold the property. But somebody who purchased in March, April, who wants to turn around and sell today, they're going to realize a loss.
Yeah.
A lot of them are, if they paid that cash over.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the hope is when you're making these decisions that you're going to be sitting in the home for a while. We're not flipping this house. We're moving into it, so it needs to be something that fits your family. You like the neighborhood, you like the schools, whatever's important to you on your search. So let us dive into that with you. Reach down into the description. There's a link that you can fill out. I'll give you a call. Let's talk through what's important to you, to your family, and see what the timing looks like for you and your family specifically.
Yeah, and these guys need to hit the like button. They need to hit the subscribe button. Can we put it right there? I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's just go ahead and put it right there.
Right there, subscribe.
Yeah, just subscribe.
Give us a thumbs up, right? Follow us. We have lots of good info, and John is always entertaining. And when I'm dancing on the beach, I'm super entertaining. So.
Was that your vein and your temple throbbing? Oh.
Like,
Well, guys, once again, thanks for hanging out with us. Until next time.
Bye, Felicia.